So I'm sitting here reflecting on everything that went on. But you're so attention starved. I just came back out from being in here. Anyway, this is what I gotta deal with. I'm trying to make a video, and this cat is bothering me. Anyway, sitting here reflecting on 25 years since Hurricane Katrina. I was in my early 30s when Hurricane Katrina happened. I've seen improvements because I had lost my job at Northrop Grumman. Would you stop? 1 month before Katrina, building the LPDs and icebreakers and Bob Hopes and all that. I got on with a company not too long after Katrina doing storm cleanup. And seriously, go find your way. Anyway, the company sucked because multiple reasons. No paid holidays, no paid vacation. You just basically work every day. Anyway, I did see some improvements with hurricane preparedness. I know that I prepared better. Sorry about that. I had to stop the cat from being annoying. And now he's back. I don't want to hear it. I'm trying to make a video here. Go about your business. Go. No, I don't want to hear it. I'm trying to make a serious video here, but you want to be all about attention. Enough of that. Sorry, again. He's being annoying. Such attention starved cat. Anyway, I seen hurricanes come and go living here in Louisiana. During Hurricane Katrina, we was out of electricity for 2 solid weeks. We was like the second, maybe third area to get MREs and ice and government assistance after that. Granted, I was living in a 2-story, what you would say, turned into, it was a house that was converted into 3 apartments. Granted, this house was well over 100 years old already. The lack of communication, nobody knowing that government assistance was actually coming or actually made it. Don't get me wrong, at that time I was a volunteer fireman. And with the lack of communication, lack of electricity, my pager was running kind of thin, which a pager back then with the fire department, they could actually broadcast messages and go live like YouTube is now. The EOC, which was his Emergency Operations Center out in St. Charles Parish, They was the mainstay of everything. Granted, I had my girlfriend at the time and two daughters. I brought them to her parents' house because that's a lot further away from the Gulf than I was. Don't get me wrong, I was like 50 some odd miles from the Gulf, maybe more, maybe less. I'm not for sure. Yeah, I didn't really prepare for this video, but yeah, it's something I'm doing now. If you all know anything about uh, St. James Parish, they was out in St. James Parish, and I was in St. Charles Parish, which is a parish in between, which is St. John. Then there's Jefferson and Orleans and all that. Anyway, neighbors started going out and about looking for resources, gas, food, water, blue tarps to cover damaged roofs and things like that. Granted, I was like mm, quarter mile to a half a mile away from my parents' house, and the devastation was just really, 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 really bad. I couldn't get my Mustang to start. Yeah, I had a 88 5.0 Mustang at the time. Man, I miss that car, even though it was a hatchback. Still, I was in walking distance of my parents' house. My mom, my dad, my brother all lived there. And I was on my own at my apartment. It didn't bother me none. Uh, a neighbor of mine asked me to go get some of their family members that was waiting outside the perimeter, the borderline of St. Charles Parish, to come home and help out the elderly parents. So I'm like, yeah, no problem. I got St. Charles Parish residence license and everything like that. So went across the parish line. It was bordered off with police presence. There at that time there was like four ways to get into St. Charles Parish. Three of them was, well, two of them was from the west, one was from the north, and one was from the east, which is coming from Jefferson, and the other two was from St. John Parish, then coming from I-55, Causeway. So I went and picked him and his wife up, brought them over there to help with his dad and all that. I was able to text message people, but I wasn't able to call people. So always try to text people instead of trying to call, because no matter what, I've always found that texting people was a lot easier during a crisis than trying to call someone, because the phone service gets inundated and it crashes. I was able to contact the guy I used to work with, seeing what he was going through, because he lived in Jefferson Parish, Kenner. And my mom, I was able to message my mom and find out that one of our neighbors went out and went to the Bridge Park, which is I-310, and found out that there was a sandbag station And then when the National Guard came in, they set up a perimeter for giving people ice, MREs, and water. That's it. Granted, people, this is 2005. New Orleans got hit really hard, even though Hurricane Katrina went towards more Mississippi, but it did a lot of devastation to New Orleans. The people in the Superdome can verify that. Go look it up on YouTube. Um, at that time, maybe 25 miles away from New Orleans. It's not that long of a ride from where I was at. But yeah, the governor of Louisiana, granted, she gave up politics after Katrina, didn't know how bad the devastation was in New Orleans, Jefferson Parish, and St. Charles Parish, and LaPlace, which is St. John Parish. That was my wake up call in the prepping community. Don't get me wrong, we always prepare for hurricanes here in Louisiana. You know, a lot of people wait till a hurricane is on its way to you. They go out and get ice for the ice chest, stockpile snacks, and some food and water. But that's it. They don't prepare for a way to actually cook. I stockpile charcoal. I have little gas stoves. Hell, you know how my parents ate? My dad was a mechanic. He still worked at Avondale Shipyard, which was Northrop Grumman, the job that I got let go from. He used a acetylene torch, an oxygen bottle to heat up a flywheel for a car. He put the pots on there. He set up the acetylene torch underneath it and heated everything up. Granted, we still had water flow. Public water was still flowing. I was still able to take a hot shower due to the fact that the hot water heater was able to keep hot water. Sorry, my neighbor came over. But anyway, once people started finding out that there was Red Cross handing out MREs and bottles of water and ice, traffic started building up on River Road just to get to that one site. I can't say where they had any other sites at. I think they had one on the other side of the Mississippi River. But I don't know. Kenner actually blocked off Airline Highway with sandbags to keep the swamp water from St. Charles Parish going into Kenner. So that was one main thoroughfare that was shut off. Still had I-10, 310, which goes from Highway 90 to all the way to I-10, with stops on River Road and Airline Highway on the East Bank. But with Airline Highway being blocked off with sandbags, people were still trying to find ways to get around to get the supplies that they needed. There was very few medical stations for people to get any kind of medications that they needed. Everybody thought it was just gonna be a normal hurricane, and then it started getting really intense and went to a Hurricane Cat 5. I think when it made landfall in Mississippi, it was a Cat 4. Granted, uh, I'm not sure about YouTube and all that. I don't know if it was around back then because I really wasn't on the internet much. Me, I'm a low tech kind of person, figure out a way to get shit done. Granted, I was on unemployment and I heard through grapevine by people talking that things was open in Lutcher, which is in St. James Parish. I found out that the unemployment office was open. So I went over there just to go check, see if they, because seriously, you're back again? I don't care. That, at that time, it was the beginning of direct deposit and stuff like that. And I really didn't have that at the time. So I went there and I found out that they had two unemployment checks for me. So that helped me out a lot. Also, there was stores open by generator in Houma, which is in a whole other parish, and a nice little ride that you can actually buy food, ice, and water. Granted, there was the bare necessities on medical supplies. You might have had your band-aids, some gauze pads, stuff like that. But the pharmaceutical aspect on that wasn't happening because on the supply chain at that time, is basically here and now. They kept a supply of maybe 30 days for a few people, depending on the people that was there. They had random amount of different kind of pharmaceuticals. The hospital in St. Charles Parish was open, but it was basically a triage. The hospitals in Kenner was the same way, just like throughout Jefferson Parish. There was only one hospital in St. Charles Parish. I don't know too much about what all went on with them, but yeah, after Katrina made landfall, nobody was prepared for the after effects. There was tornadoes and downburst. In case you don't know what a downburst is where there's a area where the cooler air comes down and forces everything out along the ground. There was a plane crash that happened right there at the New Orleans International Airport due to a downburst many years before. The rain was actually falling upwards instead of downwards. It'll come down so far that all of a sudden you see it going up. It's crazy. This is all experience that I've seen with Hurricane Katrina. When I started working after Katrina, there's so many stories I could tell you, but I'm not going to because legality. I don't need no trouble by anything with legal on that standpoint. They blocked off a main thoroughfare that goes from River Road to 3127, which is a road that goes from Highway 90 all the way to LA 308 or LA 1. I'm not for sure. A lot of people evacuated through 3127. My next door neighbor, he left. I stayed. And trust me, when Katrina made her turn, I felt the whole apartment complex shake. It was crazy. I'm watching 10-inch pine trees bending in half without snapping. But anyway, it's crazy what you see. I've seen cops, I'm not going to say where they was from, actually going into stores and looting supplies. I've seen people fighting over stupid stuff, so much as a bag of chips. After seeing all that kind of craziness, that made me start thinking I need to start getting stuff stocked up for the next Katrina or the power grid down. Granted, yes, I do have generators, but financially, I don't have solar power yet. 25 years later. 25 years ago, they didn't have solar generators and stuff like that. Had cell phones and everything, and I used to stick my cell phone in the charger in my car and let it charge up. That way, in case somebody needed to get in touch with me, no phone calls, only text. I'm making this video because year number 26 is coming upon us. And just because you think you're safe from a hurricane doesn't mean you are. Look at all the people in Tennessee and South Carolina and North Carolina and everybody that was hit by that hurricane. Not to mention that fault line along Tennessee that a lot of people said that if it really had a major earthquake, Louisiana would be gone. Parts of Texas would be gone, and parts of Mississippi would be gone. I'm not too sure on if Arkansas would be gone, but yeah, the main thoroughfare for Louisiana is the Mississippi River. It's crazy how things back then creep back up into your mind and you see why you do the things you do. I'm sitting. I got this fat shit going on. But anyway, if you're not prepping for what might happen, I'll see you at your gravesite. Don't get me wrong. St. Charles Parish has a lot of chemical plants, even a nuclear facility. If I can say it, facility. I've planned for worst case scenario with one plant, chemical plant, going down, catch it on fire. Which, as a fireman at the time, we had one of the chemical tanks that was a fuel tank get struck by lightning and catch on fire. We even had New Orleans International Airport come out there with their foam spraying trucks, their fire trucks, to help put that out. They was pumping it out while it's on fire, getting as much fuel as they could out of that tank. And it was a floating top tank, which, depending on how much fuel is in it, it goes up and it goes down. One of the many interesting fire calls that I've been on. Seen a lot of deaths. Trust me, the hardest one I ever came across was a structure fire, house fire, right across the street from the hospital. 18-month-old baby was involved in that one. I didn't see that baby there at the doorway. See my own son. I'm making this video from my experience and hoping to help you make decisions to prepare for whatever may comes in your life. Because a lot of things I wasn't prepared for. A lot of things I felt that I could have did better at, or could be doing better at. But it's a means of survival, you know? There's a lot of great prepping channels out there that I've subscribed to and learned a lot from, and learned a lot from other people on YouTube. Helped make me think, hey, what about this scenario? What about that scenario? You know? It's not always the worst case scenario like Hurricane Katrina was. Let's just say there's a power grid down, car accident, somebody took out a telephone pole. What you gonna do until the power comes back on? How you gonna keep cool? How you gonna stay warm? How you gonna eat? Always prepare for anything and everything, because life is not guaranteed on what's gonna happen. Hopefully nothing goes on. And now here we are dealing with a possible war with Iran, China invading Taiwan, Russia and Ukraine. It really doesn't matter, you know? You got to make sure that you're taken care of, your family's taken care of. I live my life by 3 simple rules. I take care of myself first, then I take care of my family, then I take care of my community. Because if I can't take care of myself, then how am I going to take care of my family? And how am I going to help take care of my community? 3 simple rules. I've been living by that rule, those three rules, for about 35 years. Yeah, this doesn't help. You got to factor in things that's unforeseen. Look at me. I'm living out here, was living out here, and then I think it was either Hurricane Francine or one before it. I'm not for sure. My mom got hit by a hurricane. As y'all see in the videos that I was doing, help fixing up my mom's house. That was quite a few years after the hurricane happened. My brother died. My mom lost our dad in 2017, and my brother's health started failing, and then she was there by herself. Granted, I have a family. As y'all know, the monster, Missy. And between working and what free time I did have, I couldn't help take care of her. Then things went haywire. Then I moved back in with my mom. Started fixing her place back up. Granted, me and Missy is still good to go, you know. It's like sometimes in a relationship, you know, you just gotta separate from somebody for some time. I hate being from here. I hate being away from here, but I started learning things about myself, things I could change to make myself better, and all that good stuff. Not to mention the fact that I'm basically rebuilding my mom's house, fixing everything up. Thanks, Ghost Lincoln, for the tips on the drywall and everything, and everybody that commented on those videos. But yeah, my neighbors on the sides of this house that me and Missy had, we always look out for each other, you know. When my neighbor on the right side of me, he works a good distance away from his house. We keep an eye on his house. The neighbor on the left side of me, he works on the river, and he's gone enough time. We keep an eye on her. It's not that hard to do, people. You know, build a community up. The lady's two houses away from my neighbor on the side of me. One's elderly and has medical issues and things like that. Then the house, the first house on the end of the street, they're retired police officers. So we got that going for us. Talk to your neighbors. You know, you don't have to go out and say, "Hey, I'm a prepper. This is what I'm doing." You ain't gonna do none of that. Just go out and talk to the people in your neighborhood. Look at things that could be fixed. Trust me, I know. I've been watching the tree trimming crews come out and clear trees away from the power lines. Don't get me wrong. My street, my power lines on my side of the street compared to outside where all the trees are at. They try to make sure the aging infrastructure doesn't have any issues. But the street that I live on, there's a power line that runs through the swamp and is easily taken out. We had, let's just use Francine as a reference, Hurricane Francine. The whole neighborhood had electricity except for my street because of that power line, which we were on a different grid than the rest of the neighborhood, got taken out. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I do have a gas powered generator. It helped out a lot. Oh, come on now, dude. I'm 36 minutes into this video. Now you want to come back and want to beg for attention? Cats. My husky, he's in there sleeping. So we're good. My advice to you is talk to your neighbors. Get to know them. Learn their strong suits and their weaknesses. Because I can't guarantee you that they're going to prepare like you do. Or like I do. Can't say that there won't be roaming bandits that's going to go out and start stealing people's food or gas or whatever. So far, I haven't really seen that. I've heard about it happening during Katrina, but where I was at, I didn't really hear too much about that. It was really weird after Katrina, not seeing airplanes flying, birds chirping, or even bugs. Just blacked out nights and humidity. No wind, nothing. Sometimes I kind of wish for that because the peacefulness and tranquility of the silence meant a lot. Not to mention the fact that you randomly hear generators kicking on and kicking off, but still. Always prepare to take care of your family. If you need to, have all your essentials in an easy to carry case, or like I do, I got essential papers and stuff like that, and an ammo box. Have a way out, have a way in, have a chainsaw and some gas with some oil for the chainsaw, or a generator with a electric chainsaw. Because yes, I bought an electric chainsaw because that's what my mom wanted. So did it. It's hard to prepare for everything because the future's not set. Prepare for what you think might happen. Prepare for what you can. Just prepare for whatever. Have you some medical supplies. Get stocked up on your meds if you're taking medications. Learn CPR. Learn basic first aid. Learn how to use the AED, I think it's called. Don't quote me on that one. Knock off. But yeah, a lot of times, if you have a volunteer fire department, they're willing to train. Red Cross, they offer classes on basic first aid, CPR, You just gotta take the initiative. If they don't offer that in your areas, go online, buy books. It's not that hard to do. I started learning first aid and everything like that. All kind of medical stuff that I've learned was through the volunteer fire department. Different companies I work for, they require you someone on site to know how to do CPR, first aid, stuff like that. Learn how to make a make some way to sterilize water. It's not that hard to do. Boil your water. Stock up on bleach. Stock up on peroxide or rubbing alcohol. Not to mention the fact on bug bites. Granted, here I am in Louisiana. Got plenty of bugs and mosquitoes and snakes, alligators, all that stuff. Learn how to fix things. Learn how to work on your car and get it up and going. Oil changes, flat tires, whatever. Because the more you know, the better off you are. Granted, my dad was a mechanic all his life. I learned how to work on cars. Don't get me wrong, newer cars here, too much gadgets and gizmos and all this and that. I'd rather a 78 Ford, which is so much easier to work on. No sensors, nothing that. No computers. You fire that thing up even after an EMP. Yes, they do make EMP protections for newer model cars, but I'm not going to take my chance with an EMP protection on a Tesla. Give me a 78 Ford F-150 or a 67 Ford Mustang. I'll get that thing up and going within a couple hours. As long as that thing got gas, oxygen, and spark, I'm good to go. So always remember to learn everything you can and be prepared.